I'll bite you up. All right. Not here.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Will the Des Moines Park and Recreation Board meeting for May 27th please come to order? Rebecca, would you please call the roll?
Nolan.
Yes, here.
Ogle. Yes. Facto.
Yes.
Davis.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Ganza.
Here.
Scavo.
Here.
Thornton. Feltner.
Yes.
Rogers.
Here.
Boson.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Before we start, I would like to welcome our three visiting council members tonight, Christine Hensley, Bob Mahaffey, and Bill Gray. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, if we can take a look at the agenda, are there any changes or additions? Can we have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And we will begin with a special presentation this evening.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Tim Smith up. Tim Smith is a recreation program supervisor for our department, and Tim manages our adult softball program. Tonight you're going to hear we have a very special award that we'd like to make sure that everybody gets a chance to hear about. So without further ado, I'll let Tim take over.
Okay. Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, I'm Tim Smith, Recreation Supervisor. I'd like to take a few minutes to speak to you about two individuals that have recently received awards for their participation in and support of the sport of softball. Their current and past involvement in our department's softball leagues exemplifies a key component of our mission statement: play hard. First, I'd like to introduce Matt Palazzo. Matt participates in our Des Moines Park and Recreation Fast Pitch Softball Leagues. In 2013, Mr. Palazzo was not only inducted into the North American Fast Pitch Association Hall of Fame, he has also become Des Moines' first USA Softball Male Fast Pitch Player of the Year. Matt began playing fast pitch softball in 2002 and stood out enough to be named to the USA National Softball Team, which finished 8th in the 2013 ISF World Championships. Congratulations to Matt Palazzo, and best of luck with the 2014 season. Now I'd like to introduce Councilman Bob Mahaffey. In October of 2013, Councilman Mahaffey was honored for his longtime support of area athletics with his induction into the Des Moines Softball Hall of Fame. Mr. Mahaffey was an outstanding fast pitch player in the 1960s and continues his involvement with the sport with strong support of various softball programs at the youth, high school, and adult levels. Congratulations to Bob Mahaffey on his induction. And to provide some additional information about the local softball community, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Park Board member George Davis. George is also a Des Moines Softball Hall of Fame member.
Chairman, permission to play forward. Thank you, Tim, Director Page, and board members. This is an outstanding honor for a great program that we supervise with our Des Moines Park and Recreation Department. Softball has been part of our leagues, or part of our program, for over 60 years. And we've had regional champions, national champions. We have never had a National Player of the Year. And that not only is a great honor for Matt, but it's also a great honor for us in our program. And we also have a couple council people that we are going to have speak tonight. Councilman Bill Gray, who has been in our leagues for 42 years. His team has the most longevity of any team that we have. 42 years, and it started off with him and his brothers, and now it became his kids, and now it's his grandkids, and he's still playing. He'd be in the Hall of Fame, but he won't quit playing. And then Councilman Hensley, or Councilperson Hensley, my goodness, what a background she comes from. Her dad was in the Hall of Fame, and I don't think you can go anywhere on the east side that her relation has not been a part of softball program, both at the high school level, recreation level, and college level. So I would like to have both council people come up and pay an honor to Matt and Bob Mahaffey. And then I'd like to have Matt and Bob say a couple words.
Okay. Chris Hensley, Des Moines City Council, and I just want to thank George for organizing this and bringing this forward. I've got to share just a little story. As George indicated, my family is a real softball family. When we were growing up, my dad was on 5 different fast-pitch softball teams. Can you imagine, Matt, 5 teams at one time? So every night, we knew the routine at the family was we headed to the ballpark. Every vacation, we headed to the tournaments at the ballparks. So I didn't realize that there were other vacations out there because that was all my family ever did. But softball is such a wonderful activity, not only for the family, but for the community as a whole. And Dad was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I can't remember the year, but I know it meant a lot to him. And I know how significant pitchers are to fast-pitch softball teams, because I remember on a regular basis they would actually recruit and bring people up from Australia was the country I remember always having pitchers that were available. So to have a fast-pitch softball player that's received the recognition you have is amazing, and I want to congratulate you on behalf of the city of Des Moines. And then Bob Mahaffey being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I know that means a lot. I know that's really significant. And Dad and I played with you out at George's Field. When was that, back in?
We want to say yesterday.
Yeah, I would like to say yesterday too. I think it was one of the last times I was actually able to play with Dad, and we played a game out there that was a co-ed game, and I realized very quickly that I needed to do warm-up exercises before I started playing. So congratulations to Bob and Matt, well deserved.
Bill Gray, Des Moines City Council, and I want to echo what Christine said. It's great to have Bob George bring us down here to honor Matt. I mean, what to be playing softball is phenomenal. Fast pitch softball is even more amazing. By the time that ball releases the pitcher's hand, you better have the full swing going because it's already past you. And the only one I can even think would be worse is if you're third base and that rocket comes right to you. So my hat's off. What a great job. Keep up the great work. And when you're ready to retire, we'll probably be in our 60th year, and we could probably use another player out on our team. And also, I forgot to mention that Chris also, we played with you and your dad and Bob when we inaugurated the new fields out there at near Altoona. It was a lot of fun. I got to see Clark Minot, what a great player, what a great pitcher, and I almost felt ashamed lying in the middle, shot up the middle to him, so I have to back away, make sure we didn't cause any trouble for that. But this is great. What the city of Des Moines has done to promote softball is such a phenomenal thing. Obviously, we've had opportunities to play elsewhere, but the city of Des Moines has presented the best fields, the best management. It's just been a tremendous pleasure for us to be here. And like I say, I might be here for the 60th anniversary sometime. So keep up the great work, folks. You guys do a great job. And Matt, again, congratulations. Bob, great job on your part, and keep playing. We're still playing around you too. Thank you.
As he said, I'm Bob Mahaffey, Des Moines City Councilman, and I want to really congratulate Matt for his accomplishments. And I remember when Tony was playing some too back then, not too many years ago. But it was in the family, I think, that must have just grown up as a softball. But I can remember back years ago when we were playing at, not only was it softball, but we had great baseball leagues too down at Berlin. And sometimes they'd play softball early game and then go over and play baseball in the late game. And other times I played in Des Moines and then I'd go up to Ames and play after that the same night. So I had a lot of years, and we do have some of the best park and recreation programs in the state of Iowa. And we got we had good ball players, we had good officials too, George.
Where I come in.
Yeah, I remember George, he officiated some, and then he also was in charge of the officials for a number of years. I don't remember how many years, but a lot of years. But it was always a good evening when you go out and play a ball game or two and have the facilities that the Parks Board has provided. So thank you all for this honor, and it really look forward to being involved with some of the other programs. And I was involved when we set up the new diamonds out there. We had a little problem with some of the neighbors, and we got past that, and with the help of an attorney out there in Altoona. So I don't remember, you guys remember that, but it was a good choice, good location. We had some great tournaments out there, so keep up the good work.
First of all, Bob, congratulations on the induction. It's a privilege to represent Des Moines, Iowa, as part of the USA national team, traveling all over the country. It's a lot of fun, especially with Des Moines, Iowa right next to it. So thank you to the Des Moines Softball Park and Rec for keeping the game of fast pitch alive. We're doing really good and probably have one of the better fast pitch leagues in the States, actually. So that's great, and thanks to George for everything. And thanks again for the honor and the award. I appreciate it.
Thank you, I really appreciate it, and Ben, we'll turn it over to you. And by the way, if this fired some of you up to play softball, Tim, are you here so they can sign up tonight? Tim's back here, and you can sign up tonight and get a team.
Thank you, George.
It's very rewarding for us to have these stories, and we like to share them with you too. Especially, we always find ourselves trying to put a value on what we do, and when you consider that we really do make memories that last a lifetime for our residents and our citizens, this is just another way that we can show that value. So I want to thank George, and on behalf of our team, it's not even a job. We love what we do. This makes our job fun to have the people come out and say they've had fun participating, and we want to take it a step further. We've talked about it in our team, and we'd like to put up a little bit of a marquee, if you will, at our softball complex to recognize those that have been in the Hall of Fame and have special awards like Matt has had. So sometime this summer we'll get on that and put that up, so that will be there for future generations too.
Thank you, Matt, for being here, and Bob and Bill. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us this evening.
Chairman, one final thing. They have a game tonight, so I told them we'd get them out of here so they could go play the game.
They can go.
Okay, thank you, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
How about the minutes first? Can we take a look at the minutes from the previous meeting on April 22nd? Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval?
I'll move. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the director's report.
Thank you. I'm going to have Mike Eberly, who is our vice chair of the Friends of Des Moines Parks, come up first. He likes to make an announcement here on their first annual golf event. They've done a lot of work planning this, so I'll let Mike tell you more about it. But I want to personally thank Mike. He's kind of been the chair of this whole event, and it's a first-time event, so it's a lot of work.
What?
We have something up here for you, Mike.
Mike?
You want this in?
Want this?
I gave it to you.
This one?
Yeah.
This one? Mike, this one?
Here it is. I got you one.
Gave them all away. I'm Dr. Mike Eberly, currently chairing the first annual golf outing to raise money for the Parks Foundation, better known as Friends of Des Moines Parks. What are the Friends? The Friends, we have no staff people at all. The Friends are just a bunch of volunteers that restarted this group about 4 years ago. It had started sometime in the mid-'90s and then somewhat disbanded, so we reorganized and got it going again. I think the first year in existence, we gave a couple of $1,000s to the parks. Last year, we gave about $175,000 to the parks. So we have been active the last 4 years. We want that to be a small number in another 4 years. Some of the projects we've done, from the very beginning, we've sponsored swim lessons for kids that couldn't afford them. Averages about $20,000 a year. I think this past year was more like $25,000. And the Red Cross dropped that 4 or 5 years ago, so we picked it up, and that's a wonderful program. We've helped with park signage. I don't know if any of you have noticed a lot of the new park signage around. They're about $1,600 each. We bought some red benches. I'm not sure where Ben stuck those. I haven't seen any sign of them, so he kept them out of my neighborhood. One of our members donated $50,000 to renovate the shelter at Greenwood Park. We help with nature trails. We've put in at 2 locations exercise equipment for the handicapped, and that's been a big hit. One of them's on the southeast side at Evergreen, the other one's up at Franklin. We helped sponsor the trash bash, which was just about 3 weeks ago, I think. I saw some city councilmen there helping. That's been a success. We've done a star party for 3 years, and this past year we raised some money to put a handicap-approved boat launch in at Grays Lake. So a lot of our veterans, we had no idea the need was this great, but a lot of veterans coming back, they can now get in a canoe or kayak and use Grays Lake just like everybody else. So that just gives you an idea of what we do. This year will be our first year. We're going to have a golf outing on June 20th, and it's going to be at Waveland, and it's going to be Friday at 1 p.m. And what I'm here tonight for is to put the arm on everybody. We need sponsors, and we need golfers. And I can't believe this park board couldn't come up with at least one foursome per park board member. If not, just pay the money, and that'd be just as good. And I brought forms tonight, and before I get too long-winded here, I want to tell most of the audience here that I also fish. So I don't want any hostility out of you guys. I grew up on the Mississippi River, and believe me, I've caught everything any of you have caught out of the Des Moines River. So, anybody interested in helping us out, we have currently 3 sponsors at $2,500 each. We have several $1,000 sponsors and several $250 sponsors. If you want to play in this, an individual fee is $125, and that includes tea gifts and maybe a couple of beers or something, or whatever you like to drink. But we need more sponsors. We have plenty of tees and greens left for sponsorship signs. If you know businesses, they get advertising at these locations for a sponsorship of $250 or more. The more they sponsor, the bigger the signs. And we also need golfers. I think we're at about maybe 15 or 20 foursomes right now. I know Councilwoman Hensley's signed up to play. They've asked me to keep an eye on her because, you know, gimmies, 6-foot gimmies, we're not going to tolerate that. Yeah, I know. Actually, we're going to have a 2-putt rule, so if you miss the first one, pick it up. So, I've got forms here for foursomes, and I have forms here for sponsorships. Anybody thinks they may know somebody that would be interested in this, I'd like to talk to them. My name and number's on the bottom of these forms. I miss anything, Ben?
Just again, I'll just point out that this group is 100% volunteers. There's no paid staff on the Friends of Des Moines Parks. They do this because they care, and I want to thank Mike again. He's championed the cause, and he's out there every day. He comes with another email that he's just solicited and got another sponsor. So thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah. West Bank just chipped in over the weekend, so they're on board. Any questions from anybody here?
If I could just add two things, it's my understanding it's best ball.
It is,
Right.
it is
'Cause
best ball, so you
Waveland's
don't
hard.
have to be a great golfer.
Right.
Just
They-
bring one good golfer.
Don't have to be a great golfer. And also for any business or individual who gives money, it is tax deductible because it's a 501(c), so it's not for profit.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for being here. And I have to give a thank you back to Joe Galloway for getting the Friends started again. I mean, it certainly has grown from the time when he first brought it back together, so thanks to Joe for bringing that back to us.
Great. Next item I'll be brief on is the 2013 annual golf report. Since 2008, all three of the city's municipal golf courses have been contracted for operations. Here today representing the corporation, which is C Corporation, that manages those golf courses, is Ned Chido. In your packet, you receive the report. To summarize, golf is a very weather-related program. It can be up or it can be down depending on the weather. We were down just a little bit last year, but the golf course is, in this operation that we've set up, continues to be fruitful for the city. At a time where we used to lose several $100,000 a year, we still now gain close to several $100,000. So it's been close to about a $600,000 change in operations from the city to this. So I asked Ned to come to maybe answer any questions you have from the golf operations.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Director, members of the board. Basically, Ben covered it pretty well. Last year started out to be a real lousy year with lousy spring. Never thought I'd see it again. I think we've topped it so far this spring. So we're off to a lousy start this year as well, but hopefully we'll make a recovery during the middle of the summer as we did last year. Basically, I'm here to answer any questions anybody may have on the golf report and answer any other questions that might come to mind. So.
Any questions for Ned?
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Next up is our Did You Know, Mindy Moore. This one is very interesting. This is on the trails. A little quick history of our trail system, the naming, and how the trail system began in Des Moines. Is there a delay?
It's a large file. It takes a while to load up. Mindy Moore, Park Planner 2, Chairman Nolan, members of the board. I'd like to present to you tonight on the multi-use trail system. Looking at the Central Iowa Trail System, we need to look at this larger 9-county area. And here you can see this trail network. Sorry, it's not, my mouse isn't correlating to the screen up there. But Des Moines is near the center of the slide there, and there's a trail that goes all the way from the east coast to the west coast called the American Discovery Trail, and that comes right through the heart of Des Moines. Here you can see as we zoom into the metro area, we have about 45 miles of trails within the city of Des Moines and 550 miles within central Iowa. So you can see how that network expands out into the metro and through the rest of central Iowa. In Des Moines, our trails have started developing nearly 40 years ago with the Bill Riley Trail as one of the first trails developed in the city. And then we moved on to John Pat Dorian and Neil Smith trails, Gailey Wilson Trail, Cridoneer Trail, Meredith Trail. Some of the more recent trails would be the Des Moines River Trail that goes from near Mullets at the confluence to the county baseball and soccer parks. So what I want to talk about tonight is some of the people behind some of those names of our trail system, starting with Bill Riley. He had been a member of the park board. You may know him as Mr. State Fair. He hosted the fundraisers at the state fairgrounds for the Bill Riley Talent Search, and some of those funds he used to put towards Des Moines parks and trail systems. And so the trail coming out of Ashworth Park and leading down through Waterworks Park is known as the Bill Riley Trail and named in his honor. Next, we had the John Pat Dorrian Trail, and John Pat Dorrian was the mayor in the city of Des Moines from 85 to 96, and he was a big advocate for trails in the city as well. He initiated the mayor's annual Ride for Trails starting in 1986, which now has nearly 1,000 riders every April. It's kind of the kickoff to the biking season here in the city of Des Moines, and he also advocated to budget specifically for trails in our capital improvement program. In 2005, we named the entire trail system within the city of Des Moines after Mayor John Pat Dorrian. And we also have one individual trail also named for him, which goes along the east side of the Des Moines River from about University Avenue down to Crevero Park. Next, we have the Neil Smith Trail, and this is named for Congressman Neil Smith, who was a U.S. Congressman from 1959 to 1995. And he was a big advocate for the Des Moines River Greenway. He advocated and sought funding and approval for Saylorville Lake and Saylorville Dam and Lake Red Rock and development of a greenway system in between those two dams. So he sponsored that legislation. It was known as the Des Moines River Greenbelt and helped secure funds for the trail as well as Grace Lake Park. So the Neil Smith Trail is about 26 miles, goes from Big Creek State Park at the north end down to downtown Des Moines at the southern end. Later, we had Gailey Wilson as a major trail advocate, also in the metro area. She had also served on park board for a time, but she started advocating for a trail along 4 Mile Creek, and that was a plan for about 35 miles of trails, and it resulted in a 110-mile trail loop. She also applied for some of the first grants to help funding of that trail. The photo at the bottom there is one of our Central Iowa Trail info hubs, and it has some more history on Gailey Wilson and a map showing the trails, which I'll show you here. The lake at the center of the slide there is Copper Creek Lake Park in Pleasant Hill, and we shared some funding and resources to put that Central Iowa Trail info hub at Copper Creek Park, and then the trail extends through Des Moines and up into Ankeny, and then there's also an eastern segment of the trail that extends through Pleasant Hill and into Altoona. Next, we have David and Elizabeth Kreidenier, and they were big philanthropists here in the city of Des Moines. David was chairman and CEO of the Des Moines Register and Cowles Media Company, and Elizabeth was a senior partner in a law firm, and they did a lot of philanthropic work throughout the city. They donated $1.5 million for development of the trail around Grays Lake Park. They put with that a deadline that it get done in a certain amount of time, and that really was a push for the city to find other donors and other resources to get that park developed and the trail developed. So the trail around Grays Lake Park is known as the Kreidenier Trail, even though most of us probably call it the Grays Lake Trail. Its official name is Kreidenier. Next, we have Ted Meredith. We have the Meredith Trail, also in downtown Des Moines. Meredith Corporation Foundation put forward some money to help develop that trail, and they wanted to name it in honor of Ted Meredith, who started in 1902 as barely a teenager working for the family business and developed the Meredith Corporation into what it is today. He was known as a lover of the nature and outdoors, and Meredith Corporation continues to support outdoor and nature-oriented programs and projects. The Meredith Trail goes from the southeastern part of Grays Lake Park all the way over to the confluence and north to the Riverwalk, and then also the segment on Flora Drive connecting Grays Lake Park up to M.L. King is also a portion of the Meredith Trail. So that's a little bit about some of the names behind our trail system. Now I want to talk about the users of the trail system. In 2007, we did our recreational needs and satisfaction survey, and trails came out as #1. You know, we asked about everything from ball fields to playgrounds to activities, and trails came out as the most used facility, the most needed to individuals in Des Moines, the most important to the households, and the most willing to fund with their tax dollars. So they were number one across the board. We'll be doing another survey. As you can see, this is from 2007. At the end of the summer season, we'll do another survey, and we'll see how trails rank now. For the last few years, we've been participating in the National Bicycle and Pedestrian Documentation Project, and this is an effort to count and survey bicyclists and pedestrians both on our trail system as well as on our street network. This is a methodology developed by the Institute of Transportation Engineers and Alta Planning and Design, who is a leading bicycle and planning consultant. So when we did those counts and surveys, some of the information that we gathered from that was that we have about 250,000 trips per trail per year on our trail system. The Crichton Trail has the most trips with about 670,000. Some other interesting information, we find more bicyclists are men, about 68%, and more pedestrians are women, just slightly over half at 56%. The people using the trail system tend to be about 40% are over 50 years old, and we don't have too many children using this trail system, about 4% are under 18. The most common reason people use our trails is for exercise purposes, so you can really see the impact we have on health for our community by having that amenity there for them to use. And knowing how popular our trail system was, we wanted to see how we could link that into our on-street network so that we could use bicycling not just for exercise like people were already using it for, but for transportation purposes. In 2011, we completed the Bicycle and Trail Master Plan, and this map shows a whole network of different types of facilities that extend throughout the city to connect places that people actually work and shop and live so that you could use the bicycle for transportation. If we want to just look at only the trails, you can see the purple are the existing trails and the pink dots are the future trails. So we still have a lot more trails to develop through the city. Especially on the south side, you can see a lot of future trails planned in that area. And that's what I want to talk about also is there's a few projects coming up yet this year. And when we zoom into the Easter Lake and Ewing Park area, there's actually 3 separate projects that will all be starting this year. On the north there is the Mark C. Appleson Trail, and that is a joint project with the City of Des Moines and Polk County Conservation that will actually break ground in about a month or so. That was a great partnership for us, and it connects from the Indianola Avenue Trail in Ewing Park, right where the dog park is, over into Easter Lake Park. If you look a little bit south of there, the Harry Piper Parkway Trail will be paved later this year as part of the Indianola Avenue widening project. The Harry Piper Parkway is the gravel roadway that goes through the Lilac Garden, and so that will be converted into a paved trail. It will still be open for vehicles during Mother's Day when they like to drive through at that time. And then further to the southeast, the Easter Lake Spine Trail is a project connecting from the south end of Easter Lake Park from Peyton Avenue down to Pine. That's about a mile-long trail, and we're doing that in cooperation with the Wastewater Reclamation Authority. They're doing a sewer project. They're doing a little over 3 miles of sewer, and we're doing about a mile of trail on top of that same corridor. So it seemed like a good time to get all of that done at once. So that's another partnership that helps make trails possible. Another segment that will be constructed this summer is the missing segment of the Waveland Trail, which goes along the west side of the Waveland Golf Course. So you see the trail already existing in Glendale Cemetery, going from Franklin down to University. And then from University to I-235 is just this 4-foot wide sidewalk. So this will be replaced with a 10-foot wide trail, and then that connects into the Waveland Trail south of 235 that goes into the Walnut Creek Trail and then into the rest of the system. And this project you heard about earlier in the year and later last year. The Southwest 14th Quiet Street is an example of using that Bicycle and Trail Master Plan, one of the priority projects that came out of that plan to connect our trail system. So going from the south side of Grays Lake Park, we developed the Southtown Trail, and then we'll use Southwest 14th Street as what we call a quiet street, where we use traffic calming and pavement markings to make it a safer corridor for bicycles. And then that will connect into the Blank Park Zoo area. Do you have any questions about any of the projects or history?
Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you.
Okay, we have our last item on our director's report. I'll have Joel come up, and we're participating with the Blank Park Zoo on a great program called Plant, Grow, Fly. He'll talk more about that.
Rebecca, can I have the overhead, please? Chair Nolan and Parks and Recreation Board members, I'm Joel Van Roekel, Supervisor of Environmental Education. I'm going to introduce you to the Plant, Grow, Fly program. It's a new conservation initiative to help protect our native pollinators. It's headed up by the Blank Park Zoo and run on the belief that no effort is too small and that each and every one of us can do our part to help the pollinators thrive just by planting for butterflies and our insects in our gardens. The mission is to encourage citizens and organizations to become aware of pollinator issues and take actions to preserve them. And the vision of the initiative is to show that our native pollinators provide not only economic, practical benefits to humans, but they also have intrinsic value on their own right. Parks and Recreation is only one of many different people that have joint ventured into this. Our position, or things that we are actually doing, we've already started. I did a Mother's Day Plant, Grow, Fly program where I invited people into Greenwood Park. The participants got a lecture from me on pollinators and plants, how they survive and work together. We went for a small walk through the park looking for native wildflowers. Then each participant got their own planter, which they again got to decorate if they wanted to for Mother's Day. They had some mothers there that did it for themselves. And then we planted them full of plants that would attract pollinators. They took those home. Once you have something at your own home, they have this fun idea that you can represent it. You log on to the website, you can send a picture of your own garden. And again, the idea is nothing is too small. So you can have a huge garden or you can have a small garden. That's only one thing that we've done. I'm also going to repeat this program for our Evelyn K. Davis summer program, so it'll go home with a bunch of children a little bit later this summer. This whole initiative fits in very well with the Parks and Recreation trend and move towards more natural and native plantings and sustainability. There is a whole new planting out at Ewing that's geared specifically towards butterflies using natives. We also have a small garden that's going to be going in at the Ding Darling. And there's one other one. Oh, we have dedicated one of our garden plots to being planted full of natives and pollinator species. So we actually have a lot of things. The zoo hasn't provided them yet, but they are ordering special Plant, Grow, Fly signs, some nicer ones for some of our bigger projects, and so they can be planted in here so when the public actually sees them, there's a connection and they have an idea of what's going on. If you are interested in the program, there are the brochures that are planted or presented out here. You can also find all the information online. I do have extras that I'll leave on the table if anybody is interested. It's kind of a fun, neat thing, and I'm kind of excited. Like I said, there are lots and lots of different entities that are involved, but the Blank Park Zoo is heading it up, and we've agreed to be a part of it. Questions?
Very exciting.
It's a neat thing.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Ben before we move on? We'll move on for board action on the Principal Riverwalk fishing.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Ron Ward, our Parks Manager, to come up and give us a really brief summary of how we began this process to determine what rules will be needed to help us manage the new Riverwalk space now that's online. He'll talk about where we started, where we kind of amended at, and where today's staff recommendation is proposing. So without further ado, Ron, why don't you give us a little background?
Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Ron Ward, Park Manager. The Park and Recreation staff worked with Downtown Community Alliance, the DCA, and with Principal Riverwalk Development Authority to develop park rules for the Principal Riverwalk. And you guys had already approved those at a previous meeting. While developing these rules, the DCA requested that we limit fishing on the principal Riverwalk. Municipal Code Section 130-109 deals with prohibited fishing areas. It currently prohibits fishing from any bridge across the Des Moines River between Center Street and the north city limits. So, yeah, you can't see that very well. But that would be, so there would be the Center Street Bridge, and then, so it already prohibited fishing from these other bridges going to the north city limits. A proposed amendment to Section 130-109 was presented at to the board on February 25th, 2014, and included prohibited fishing from any bridge crossing the Des Moines River between east-west Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and the north city limits. This included the bridges within the principal Riverwalk. So the proposal was to also, at that time in February, was to also prohibit fishing from the bridges downtown. The proposed amendment also prohibited fishing from the banks of the Des Moines River between east-west Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway to University Avenue, or from the principal Riverwalk multi-use trail along the Des Moines River. Staff was directed by the board to allow fishing from the downtown bridges. So then at the March 25th, 2014 board meeting, a revised amendment to allow fishing from the downtown street bridges, but prohibiting fishing from the principal Riverwalk multi-use trail and from the riverbanks was proposed. And so that was the next proposal. So you can kind of see in the red lines, that would have been what was proposed, is this part. People interested in fishing downtown attended the board meeting and provided the board with their input and asked that the amendment be reconsidered. The amendment was tabled and the board formed an ad hoc committee to review the options and make a recommendation. The ad hoc committee met twice and voted 7-1 on a compromise to only prohibit fishing from the principal Riverwalk multi-use trail, the Iowa Women of Achievement Bridge, or the Center Street Bridge, the Red Bridge, and the east-west Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway Bridge. So on this one, it's hard to tell the colors, but it showed the red is the principal Riverwalk trail, and then it's showing green where you are allowed to fish, going around all this area, which would be the riverbanks. This proposal does create a section along the west side of the river from roughly about Walnut Street Bridge to the Mid-American substation, where fishing will be restricted due to there being no riverbank. And there's a couple pictures of that. So this would be about at Walnut Street looking north. This is a little farther north. And you can see that the Riverwalk, there is no riverbank along there. There's just the trail and then the balustrade wall. And then this one's closer to the bridge. And this one shows where that trail goes up, where the trail goes up towards Wells Fargo, but there is this area along here where a lot of people like to fish. And that is still available for fishing. The ad hoc committee also suggested a volunteer effort be developed to address the litter and trash issues, and educational signs be placed on the river downtown. A smaller group, then consisting of some city staff, Operation Downtown representative, and representative from Isaac Walton League, met on May 7th, 2014 to develop a trial plan. The plan includes to continue using city-coordinated community cleanup events like River Run Garbage Grab and Earth Day Trash Bash. Additionally, volunteer opportunities may be developed if necessary. Educational signage will be developed and installed, and the Isaac Walton League offered to provide and maintain fishing line recycling containers. So then also being recommended by staff, besides that amendment, is an amendment to the Lakes and Ponds section of Municipal Code, Section 74-97. This amendment will prohibit fishing at Grays Lake, watercraft rental dock, swimming beach, and pedestrian bridge. That shows those areas. If approved, the two amendments being considered this evening will be considered for approval at the June 9th, 2014 City Council meeting. Upon City Council approval, the rules would be posted throughout the Principal Riverwalk and at Grays Lake. Is there any questions from the board?
I guess the only question I'd have is we received a communication on the Grays Lake rental docks, and someone saying that was a great spot for little kids to learn how to fish because they can get the sunfish that are right off those docks. Any thought into that issue?
I'll talk to this about, Ron, we did a shoreline restoration project with a DNR grant several years ago now, along where the red line at the beach to the east starts, all the way around the curve to about a little sandbar to the south where Ron's pen is. As part of that, we built out little areas that you could sit off of and fish off of. The lake is particularly deep off of those docks. That's why we rent the watercraft there. And again, it's the same issue of watercraft are very popular, as you can imagine, at Grays Lake. Those docks are busy most of the time. So we felt it would be a conflict of issue there. But there are a lot of other areas that you can fish off of at Grays Lake. Just that would be our recommendation, not to use those docks.
I'd move to adopt the new rule.
I got one question before we get going here.
Can we have a
Along the
second
river.
first?
Second.
Okay. Along the river over here, we've got walks that are down behind the wall that you can walk right up to the water on. Are those going to be allowed to be fished off of?
It's a great question. Those are stormwater or storm sewer facilities. They call them the box in their lingo. But what it is a concrete box with pipes underneath it. It's not designed for that, but our rules do not pertain to that because those were never designed to use it.
So they'd still be able to fish off those?
We can't promote that because they're not designed for that. So it's not being dealt with. And I would tell everybody it's not the safest area to fish off because of the fact they weren't designed for that.
Okay, thank you.
And then see if we have to amend it where we approve Grays Lake Park and then come back to this.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to ask any questions? Can I see how many might be wanting to speak tonight? If you would come and line up along the side of the room. And when you come to speak, if you would give your name and address.
Don't go anywhere.
And we'd like to keep you to 3 minutes, please.
My name is Stephen Herbert. I discussed sales tax revenue influence in the region of sport fishing to the economy. I wanted to give you folks a copy of this. You might have a copy. That's from the state's perspective of how fisheries, hunting, photography, all that stuff transpires down on the river. I want to speak specifically to the Martin Luther King Bridge, because that's part of the proposed closure. And I want to say there's no reason to close at all. The last photograph that you had on your trail display was the railroad bridge. And that railroad bridge was set up specifically as a trail to cross, I don't know how many thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, and that's only a block and a half up the stream from the Martin Luther King Bridge. So bikers or hikers or this, that, and the other thing, if you can't ride a bicycle a block and a half up to a dedicated crossing, you shouldn't be on a bicycle to begin with. But what I want to address is the litter problem. And most of you people would recognize what this stuff is as I bring it out of the bag. You know what that is? All you breast cancer walkers, this is the confetti that is left over from the breast cancer walk. And what happens is, and this is the issue of litter, is during the breast cancer walk, down there. Breast cancer is right there at the corner where the little log cabin is, the historical log cabin. They gather there annually by the thousands. They generate in this community, I don't know, let's say $20,000 for breast cancer awareness or whatever. And they can't spend $10 to buy a garbage bag. This is the kind of stuff that this is not downtown. This is specifically at the Martin Luther King Bridge. And you have fireworks, stuff that is blasted off in the park. Okay, now I know a bunch of these older people down here, and I have sympathy for people that have breast cancer. Trust me, I know women that have died of cervical cancer and this other thing. But some of these old guys around here and some of the old ladies that use it, the fishing down on the river for a nice sunny day, they have pancreatic cancer, they have melanomas, they have heart disease, this, that, and the other thing. And what they do is they get bumped out from using the river to go down there on a sunny day and fish and visit with their friends. So the breast cancer can litter up the river with a closed bridge. And the Martin Luther King Bridge was designed as a major arterial to get traffic from Fleur Drive, we'll call it. It's Martin Luther King now, but it's Fleur Drive area, and get your major traffic to the east side of Des Moines, essentially Pleasant Hill. It's a trail system for vehicles. Every weekend in downtown Des Moines, you have these walks that interrupt commerce. You have these walks that interrupt activities like spring fishing or this, that, and the other thing, which is fine, but I'm saying that you can do the trail system. But this is 50 cents a piece. That'll buy you, for a fine, that'll buy you a garbage can from Center Street to the sewer treatment plant.
Thank you.
My name is Buck Hilliard, and I represent a senior citizen that's a fisherman of City of Des Moines. You know, I'm a little bit confused. First off, on the proposed, parkway, backfill, is it on this side of the river by the dam? Is that open for fishing on that map?
Put the map back up, would you, Ron, just so we didn't have it.
Ben,
Yeah.
explain that, how the
Yeah, we'll put
green, the red kind of overrides on the green.
We'll put that map up real quick.
Okay, because as far as I know, it's down here, if it's on this side of the river, by the armory and stuff like that, it is an excellent place. And it's big separation between trail and rail bridge. Is that on there?
Green is fishing.
That, the green stuff's fishing?
Yes.
Okay, we're in good shape there. So actually, the only problem that I've observed in many, many years of not only fishing the downtown area, but the development of downtown area, that it's just a bottleneck right up by the dam on the west side, where the trail comes off and there's a short period of time that it's congested. And that is a seasonal thing, whether you realize it or not. When water gets real low, you can't fish it anyway. When it gets low, it just gets really jammed up. And about the time that it really gets heavy traffic in the area right through that neck there is early spring, when the walleyes are running, and in high water, when the river's up. Because a lot of times that forces us to go up to what we call a fishbowl. And it's a little square area, and it gives you the feeling like you're fishing in a fishbowl, but you can catch fish, and good fish, out of that area. So with that, I'm okay with that there. Another one, who is going to be implementing, enforcing all this? Is it the Parks Department job to clean up and this type of thing?
Right now, that does fall underneath the city. We partner with the Downtown Community Alliance to do Operation Downtown. They do beautification, but part of the overall proposal was to do two things. If we could solve a lot of the issues together, one would be education and outreach with the local anglers, and they're not the only ones that are doing the trash. We understand that, but work with the community to do some volunteer projects to keep the area nice and clean down there. Something we can all continue to be proud of.
Okay, now I understand that. I missed the first meeting earlier in the spring on the overall fishing concept. And I do know from being also a member of the community of Scott Street Bridge, if you realize, if you're a hardcore fisherman like a lot of us are, it's like a little community. In the springtime, we like to go down there to see who survived the winter. Because unfortunately, some of us don't make it until spring. You know, and I really appreciate the elevators that are, because to be truthful about it, I happen to be one that a lot of good fishing I can't get to anymore because of the rocks and stuff like that. And Scott Street has become sort of like a little, well, it's just good therapy for me. Good, cheap therapy for me. But I have problems with it, both from the city and the sports people too. I would like to know, I know in the first meeting, it was discussed about trash containers and who was going to be responsible of emptying and doing all that type of stuff. But to be truthful, from that meeting till now, I have kind of got the feeling that it had been extremely ignored. There's not a trash container down on Scott Street Bridge.
There's several down there, as well as along the Riverwalk. Just, I looked this up before we came here. There are over 40 trash cans on this map. Anything that shows them from the Center Street Bridge to roughly the area of Martin Luther King.
Whoa.
We have benches and over 40, I think it's 46 trash cans.
That's amazing.
So, and they're brand new. So
They must be invisible then, because on Scott Street Bridge, there's none.
We're trying.
There's none where the main populated area is. None.
That's a discussion we had with our ad hoc committee. We talked to some of the folks that represent the larger fishing groups, anglers, if you will. We talked to Isaac Walt, we talked to Central Iowa Anglers, and with their input, we are planning to make a couple adjustments to put them in spots that are more conducive to fishing.
Yeah, because see, these are the things that, I know myself and some other people that are, we're responsible, or we try to be. We could go down and do all the policing we want, we can do a lot of things, but just being John Doe citizen doesn't really give us much clout. And that's where the city would have to help us do this. And that's implementing signs of littering, open containers, all kinds of different things that are on the books now, but are definitely not being enforced. And I would highly suggest that the Parks Department or you folks really take a check at it. Because see, I would be more than happy to put whatever refuse I had in a trash container, but now I put it in my van. Which I happen to be a minority, because the majority of folks seem to be, and this is what we want you to realize too, it's not the majority that's causing the problem. It's a small amount of people, just like any other project you want to take on. It's not the majority that's creating the problem. So all I'm asking is for you to help us. Help us make sure. Now, you have to remember on fish containers and stuff like that, that is it's not just an easy solution. They contain the smell. See, that would have to be, if it's in a container, have to be emptied pretty regular if you want to address the smell issue. And even on Scott Street, you have bike trails on both sides of the bridge there. Big wide lane. Now, it might not be an official bike trail, but that's what we think it is. And then now and again, you get the hardcore biker wants to go down the sidewalk and is very upset because they can't. No, they can't, because there's a lot of people fishing there. That is a tradition for the city of Des Moines. So I have talked to numerous people that has come back to Des Moines after leaving for years, had to come to Scott Street because it brought back a lot of memories to them of when they got started. So that's why I was highly, concerned when I thought that it was going to be discontinued. Yes, ma'am.
If I could just say one thing, I was on that committee, and once we get this to the council and they have an opportunity to vote on it, then we will have trash cans and regularly emptying and signage if they decide to.
Okay, it's just the next
So
phase then.
It's kind of in process.
Okay,
I think, so.
and I'll close with this here then. On the last deal from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Scott Street alone had well over 1,000 different people there fishing through that weekend. Now, if you was to add up the income, add up to everything else, and more than important, if you add up the memories of the people that were there, I've seen little babies, other ones, coming up, and that's where they're getting their start. So, you know, I'm very pleased that somebody has finally realized this and taken action not to close it. But we need help too as a sportsman and as citizens of this city to keep that an attractive place as much as humanly possible. Because tell you the folks, I don't think you really realize what a jewel you have, down there that represents the city.
Thank you, Buck.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a point I would like to bring up, and that is, it's my understanding now that, and I misunderstood this, that fish innards and trash fish or whatever can be thrown back into the river rather than in trash cans, because smell was a thing that the walkers cited, and that stuff can be thrown back into the river rather than in the trash. Now, certainly not the styrofoam worm containers and things like that, but any innards.
That's the best place for them.
Yeah, okay.
But unfortunately, all people don't do that. That's why you need signs up.
Okay.
On the track, at least information. Informing people what to do. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Bill Probasco. I live at 2118 East 42nd Street here in Des Moines. I just wanted to bring up, I moved here in 1964. I've been in this city ever since. I was an inner city kid. Grew up right down here along the river. I really think that people can cohabitate and be human beings and work together to get things done. I grew up down here on this river, fishing every single day. My kids came down with me. They grew up down here on this river every single day. You can't take that away. There's no way. It's built into us. You're taking family and just tearing it apart. There is days when we're down there on Scott Street Bridge, it looks bad. Buck, you run my broom. When I go down there, I take a broom with me. We sweep that whole bridge, put it in a garbage bag, take it back home with us. Are the fishermen at fault? No. Are the people that riding the bikes? No. It's the people that get rid of the trash and throw it out there. I don't like living in it. I don't like looking at it. I love our city the way it is right now. I'm proud every time I come down here, just because of how it looks and how everybody put everything together to give us a good city to live in. But I really think we need to forget the rules, regulations, red zone, green zone, yellow zone, put up some signs, enforce them, and move on. That's really all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Hello, my name is Frank Gustafson. I live at 512 13th Street in West Des Moines. Before I adjourn from this meeting to go home and enjoy a delicious meal of fresh fish just harvested from Center Street, I'd like to mention that there is no litter problem at the present time on the east bank of the river between Center Street and Grand Avenue Bridge. I'm very impressed. It appears to me that somebody has been emptying the trash containers regularly and people have been depositing the litter. I'm very impressed with that. I'd like to toot my own horn, and I've caught several large flatheads there in the last few weeks and released every one, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a very, very good place to fish. The last meeting we had, I was a little disappointed with the one person that was for the no fishing zone as it was. They showed some pictures to everybody about the litter and the fish. Those pictures were about 6 to 8 years old, and I was just a little offended why they would show pictures that old at a high water level rather than show something that was update. But that's neither here nor there now. I'd just like to say that I appreciate all of this time involved. I am satisfied with the compromise. I think it's a very good compromise.
That just about touches about everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Oh, may I say one more thing?
You may.
It is such a good thing that this situation did turn out like this, because it's brought to my attention that we're going to build a playground. The city of Des Moines and different people are going to build a large playground. It's going to have a fishing theme, 50-foot fishing pole, huge bobber. It would be a shame to have that park adjacent to a no fishing area. Thank you.
Ben Dodd, 2315 Park Avenue, Granger, Iowa. I'm also the fisheries biologist for the Iowa DNR. And first I'd like to thank the Parks and Rec Department for modifying the initial proposal. This is a much better proposal, allows a lot more access. Unfortunately, as a department, we are not going to support a restriction to a public waterway, and we want to promote fishing and fishing access. And I was part of the ad hoc committee, and I really would like to see the board consider some non-regulatory ideas before moving forward with a regulatory proposal. One couple of the ideas that came up was signage. We've talked about that. Signage, trash cans, volunteer groups, cleanup. Maybe even couple that with a grace period. Another idea that came up was to widen the trail to provide use for both anglers and trail users there. You know, I know that there'd be costs associated with that, but that was another good idea that I thought was brought up in the committee meeting as well. So, and I did help out and try to provide some language to Callie and Joel for signage regarding the fish remains and what anglers are supposed to do with rough fish, either take them home or get them back into the water. Throwing them on the bank is actually littering. So, and that's really all I have to say. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Rick Serwick, 3007 Southwest 2nd Street, Des Moines, Iowa. President of Des Moines Isaac Walton League. I'd like to thank the board for letting me go on the ad hoc committee meeting. I thought it was very enlightening for all of us. We came up with some great solutions. I just want to point out a few things, especially to the fishermen here, that the areas that are in red is the trail itself. That's along the riverbank, and that area between the trail and the river you can fish. Where we run into that little problem is that one little zone up there on that west side. And that's where Ben came up. There was a possible solution if we could widen the trail before it goes off to the side there. But, you know, it's going to take funding. So if that happens to be a alternate solution down the road, I'd like to see support from the fishing group as well to maybe behind that and maybe help raise some funds. The other thing is that we volunteered to put up and maintain the recyclable fishing line dispensers, and we're looking forward to doing that and working with the group on locations. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening, and thank you much.
Thank you, Rick.
Hi, Don Hickle, a little nervous. Number one, what he said about the memories and stuff, my whole family used to fish off Scott Street when I was like 5 years old. They take us down there. When we got tired, they throw us in the back of the station wagon. Okay, from here up, we have from Saylorville, we have Sycamore, a boat ramp, no place, little few places in between to fish, no others. And from there, you have down to Birdland. Prospect, can't really fish down there because there's pieces of cars and stuff in there. And then you have Drake that owns a rowing club, no fishing there. Then you're cutting it off from Center Street all the way down. The next place to fish would be 14th. Okay, then you have the city that owns everything 14th down all the way to, I believe, 30th Street.
I think maybe you're a little confused. You can still
I mean,
fish.
on all the fish, right. What I'm getting at is where can we fish? Okay, then you have Waterworks that closes at 10. You have Walnut Woods that closes at 10. Okay, Catfish in Flathead comes out at 9. Okay, my point is where do we get the fish from? Okay, then if you go to Runnels, Pleasant Hill's the next place for a boat ramp, but from there there's no shore because they closed it all off down there. So, I mean, from Centerville or from Sailorville all the way down to Red Rock, there's no access to the river to fish.
The Riverwalk actually closes at midnight, and you'll have all the banks except for that little 3-block
Right.
section on the west side. So you'll be able to get access
Okay.
from Center Street all the way to Scott Street.
But we're doing the trails and we're building all these bridges and stuff. Why can't we put a little bit of money into putting places for people to fish? $12 million on a bridge and all you can do is walk across? I mean, you know, you can't even fish off of it. And, you know, and then every year when the dam breaks because of the trees and stuff that floods down, the city of Des Moines Waterworks takes till almost the whole year's over. There's no fishing from Center Street up to Sailorville because either the water's not high enough or there's just not, you know, I mean, there's no fishing up there. It's no good. I have a boat in Berlin Marina and stuff, and I can sit there for 10 hours and fish and maybe catch 3 or 4 carp, and that's it. I mean, like I said, I'm nervous. I don't know where you guys are, why you're taking this when there's really no place. And from here, the fishing's really not that good when the water's down because of the little dam down there at Scott Street. But you can't go up the Skunk River because Waterwork owns it all, so you can't be in there after dark, and then you can't be in Walnut Woods. And then from there, it's what, all the way to Van Meter? You see what I'm saying? Where you're taking away a little piece here, but you're giving everything else away.
I guess I'm not following you because we're not taking away that.
Most of our rights, I mean, the city's taken away enough of the river, and you're investing into the trails along the river. Why can't you add places to fish along the trails?
No,
For the anglers, that's what I'm getting at. I'm trying to just show how much is shut down from when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
I think one of the problems, and we would all agree with you that we'd like more spending on recreation, and that's one of the reasons we've got this Friends of Des Moines Park. For $50, any pedestrian, biker, trail runner, fisher person, anybody can help us contribute to the parks because we've received a 30% funding cut.
But now you're talking the parks. Easter Lake,
No, I'm
all the
talking
houses are built up around
trails.
Easter Lake now, so now you can't fish there.
Rivers.
Because they're people's backyards. Graves Lake has been taken away. The river that runs along Graves Lake, you can't go in there at night because Graves Lake's is shut down. The city of Des Moines runs all the way along the river. So, I mean, we just keep getting pushed further and further out, and there's no place to go.
Sir, to be clear, some of your statements are where you're saying that the fish, there's no access and stuff. I see it differently. Like you said, Waterworks closes, for example, and that's not our arena.
Right,
They
but
closed the traffic, they closed cars, but there's certainly fishermen there that walk across George Flagg Parkway and fish the river all night. I see them all the
But
time.
you can park on the road and step over and step into the park and not
Okay.
get fined.
Okay, so, and then you alluded to some other places that were not allowed fishing, and I don't see it that way. I don't see where you're making the statement it's not allowed as I'm looking at it here and I see it allowed.
Okay, on the river from Graves Lake and stuff, is there any place that a person can park to go to the river without having to walk a half mile or a mile?
Well, yeah, but
to
see,
get
we
there?
can't control the parking. We're talking specifically
Right.
fishing. So we would have no jurisdiction on the parking or anything like that.
Okay, but, okay,
The fishing is open there at Grays Lake River all along there.
Okay, but the old light plant and stuff out there at the bridge on the south side, you used to be able to catch stripers. You can't, there's no place to go down there no more because they've closed that off. Like Yellow Bank, my statement is you guys, there's just further and further places you can't go. But like Walnut Woods, you guys built the dams, or not the dams, but the levees out there with the concrete on it. So the park did anyways, but you can't fish at night, only during the day. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. Exactly. I'll tell you what, if you want to take a few minutes after the meeting or after this item's over with, we would gladly, Ron, back there with the, raise your hand, Ron. He could talk to you about which areas that we have jurisdiction over, because your properties are all parks, some of it's cities, some of it's WRA, some of it's Des Moines Waterworks, so. If you have a few minutes, we'd be glad to show you those on a map, so.
Okay, I just, on the trails here in the city of Des Moines and stuff by the river that you guys are in control of, can you, just make it so.
I'll have Ron clarify that. I think you'll be happy when Ron clarifies that for you. You can still fish those trails.
I was just trying to point out how much further we're getting pushed
No, we'll
out.
take as much time as it takes to help.
Yeah, I understood this part. This is all you guys are.
Yep.
So actually, I was wasting my time.
No?
One more thing is up, there used to be garbage cans on Center Street.
Showing how the green,
There should be some there still.
On Court Avenue.
What happens sometimes, unfortunately, is people like to throw those over the railing, so we do put them right back.
Okay.
It's just
So,
that
well, I haven't
we didn't
seen
take
any-
them away.
Okay, I haven't seen any down here on Court Avenue for probably 2-3 years
Okay, we'll double check it.
and stuff.
You know, point of order, Madam Chairman, is moving forward, we can't get into a situation on who litters the most. For example, breast cancer awareness and things like that. We can't be disparaging toward one group another. Litter bugs know no boundaries. If you're a litter bug, you're a litter bug. But some of these marches, like, for example, that didn't sit well with me about the breast cancer awareness. I think it's a good group, and if we have to clean up some trash or whatever, any march or anything that we do in this community, that's what gives our community fiber and strength. So moving forward, we can't point fingers one against the other.
Are there any other comments or discussion from the board?
Make the motion now.
I think you already have.
Had a motion on the floor.
Is there any other discussion? I believe we have a motion on the floor and a second. Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Nolan?
Yes?
Vogel?
Yes.
Bacto?
No.
Kenny Vanderhaar?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Yanza?
Yes.
Scavo?
Yes.
Thornton?
Yes.
Feltner?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Boson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have an 11-1 affirmative vote. Thank you. And thank you for all coming tonight and sharing your stories and your ideas with us. We appreciate it very much.
Just wanted to, for the board members, as every new ordinance and rule takes place, our team does evaluate them after the first year, and if you hear anything you want to share with us, make sure you get a hold of me so I can take some notes and put a record in our file, and then we'll be back and make some changes if we have to. So
He didn't take his trash with him.
What's trash bag?
we'll take
Littering.
That when you force groups in, like the fellow said, without parking, it forces the people down where they dump the litter, and if it happens to be adjacent to the river, that's where.
Oh, we need to move on to our next item.
All right.
We have the Citizen Golf Committee appointment.
So we have in front of you tonight, like you always meet for your 4 of your official subcommittees, we have to bring to you new members. The Golf Committee has taken this in front of their committee and voted to move it forward to you. You have Russ Bitterman, an avid golfer who calls Waveland Golf Course his home. Golf Committee members, if you have any comments about adding Russ to your Golf Committee, it's on your agenda tonight for approval.
I vote yes.
Need a motion?
Do we have a motion?
I move that we add,
Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Nolan?
Yes?
Vogel?
Yes.
Bacto?
Yes.
Kenny Vanderhaar?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Yanza?
Yes.
Scavo?
Yes.
Thornton?
Yes.
Feltner?
yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Boson?
Yes.
Great. Next, we have Darren from Hy-Vee Triathlon here to make a presentation to you about the Hy-Vee Triathlon at Grays Lake. You noticed the last few years we've come to you to talk about how that will affect the operation of the park, but Hy-Vee's been a tremendous ally of ours and partner, so we're proud to have them here tonight to talk about this great event.
Good evening, Chair, Director, Board. Thank you for the time this evening. Again, my name's Darren Hurl. I'm Director of Event Marketing for Hy-Vee. I'm the old guy here. I want to introduce a new guy to you, a new face. His name's Michael Zimmerman. He is with Premier Event Management. Premier, I'll go PEM. It's a lot easier to say. PEM has been our event management company for the last 7 years, so going on 8 years strong now. They're our race director. They're the crew that come in and cover a lot of the things that we do beyond promoting the event itself and getting participants there. So I at least wanted to have Michael come up here so you could recognize his face, as you'll soon see that he will be the future face of the Hy-Vee Triathlon as this old guy maybe slowly moves away. So a little update on the Hy-Vee Triathlon coming up Labor Day weekend. I wanted to show you this first map. This will be the map that we send out to the community, to our spectators, to our athletes. I just wanted to draw some attention to how we'll handle parking this year. It'll be more along the Thomas Beck Road and Waterworks Park. But as you can see now, we have blocked off any parking in that gravel right away to the south of Grays Lake. This is a little bit of an eye chart, and I'll zoom in a little bit, but this is an internal map that we use in regards to porta potties, generators, tents, barricades, grandstands, stuff like that. But I just wanted to show you this overview as we move a little bit slower into these smaller areas and talk about mainly the closures of the parking lots at Grays Lake during the setup and tear down phase. So the southwest corner, the closure request again this year mimics last year's, which would be the Sunday prior, Sunday, August 24th through Wednesday, September 3rd, or the Wednesday after Labor Day. Rentals would be closed just on the weekend. Concessions are open the entire week and weekend, or at director and Grays Lake's staff's suggestions. And Hy-Vee is always there to help supplement the food needs as we have increased traffic there on that weekend for the events itself. Next one would be the southeast parking lot. Our request is to close that on Tuesday, August 26th through Sunday, August 31st. And I can tell you that that parking lot, as well as the two north parking lots that we'll get to in a little bit, would be open before 6 p.m. on Sunday that evening. That takes us to the beach parking lot. The request there is to close that from Friday, August 29th through Sunday, August 31st. Here you see 6 p.m. in this specific map. So that's the request for the beach parking lot. And then just as a summary on one page here, the southwest parking lot to review, that's our finish line. That's what takes the longest to set up with the grandstands. Again, Sunday, August 24th through Wednesday, September 3rd. Moving to the southeast parking lot again, Tuesday, August 26th through Sunday, August 31st. And then the northwest parking lot, which we haven't talked about yet, we have no use for that parking lot. However, as you close that down for the events itself, we would ask to close that down from Friday, August 29th through Sunday, August 31st. And then the beach parking lot again, Friday, August 29th through Sunday, August 29th. I'm sorry, 31st. It's a misprint on there. Thank you. And then the pass would only be closed during the events itself, where we have volunteers out there letting patrons know that a race is in effect, especially with the kids, young kids, and they can obviously walk on the grass next to the pass. Some communication plans for this year and public outreach, obviously using the Parks and Recs department and the Grays Lake crew using their Facebook and Twitter pages. We will post the maps, images, and closure information, as well as using the Des Moines Register to post this information. Reminders each day as what is closed. We will also work online, posting maps, again through the media, and then on site with large signage to let patrons know what's going to happen that week. Just as an FYI for this group, wanted to let you know, this is a picture of the bike course, and the bike course is staying the same this year. And then this is the picture of the run course, so Grays Lake there in the bottom left-hand corner. The athletes will be running on the path down towards downtown Principal Park, MLK, and then back. I know that was quick, and before I go into comments or questions, I do want to fill the board in on one surprise, I guess you could say. And I wanted to let you know tonight on behalf of Hy-Vee and our 70,000 plus employees that we are going to make a $50,000 donation to the Parks and Recs department for the usage of Grays Lake.
You did say 50,000 then?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can that go through the bill?
I do want to, add to that, that we want to let the board discuss over time how we want to present that, and if you want to do something publicly, we certainly are more than willing to, as a group between Hy-Vee and Premier Event Management, to present that check. I will now open it up for comments or questions.
I guess my comment is thank you very much for the donation, and we certainly love the plans for your, every year you do a wonderful event, but thank you for the donation.
You're welcome. Thank you for the use of the park.
They're a tremendous partner, as you know, not just because of the financial contribution, just that they run a well-oiled machine. When we go into that weekend, you can rest assured that's going to be done top-notch. Darren and his team, and now PEM, sound like it'll be great to work with, as well as Darren and your team. So thank you for all that you do for the community. It's much beyond just an event that happens at Grays Lake. It happens in the entire community, and the economic impact just has to be tremendous with what this does for our community. So thank you.
You're welcome.
There's 2 neighborhood associations over there that fully support because of the good PR that you've done and the goodwill that you've done in the past over there. And I know they fully support the program.
Thank you, sir.
And I just, being new to the park board, how many runners, or how many people do you have participate again, did you say?
This year we'll have about 3,000 participants.
Okay, is there a limit to what you can handle, or?
There is, actually.
just
We will cut it off at 3,600 this year for the adult triathlon. So when I say 3,000, that was the adult triathlon on Sunday, and then we have 1,400 kids that come on Saturday, the day before, for the championship, which is the second largest kids triathlon in the United States.
How many countries were represented last year? You remember? I put you on the spot, sorry.
Wow.
It was 14, if I remember correctly, from Candy.
It was over 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. All 50
They come
states
home.
were represented.
I know.
They do. We fill up the hotels.
Last year, that youth triathlon was the largest in the country, just so you know.
Now, Mara, is this an Olympic qualifying event, or athletes are able to use this event in any official capacity?
So,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Step up, Michael.
Oh, this is my big moment. Hope I don't get it wrong. In the past, the Hy-Vee Triathlon's been the Olympic qualifier. This year, there's no qualification for the Rio Games, so it's currently not going to be the Olympic qualifier. But it's still the World Championships of a series called 5150. So that's where a lot of the people come from around the world for a chance at, it's anywhere between. I don't want the prize purse this year. It's a massive $600,000 prize purse. So, they travel far and wide for that.
Mike, we want you to register for the Friends of Des Moines Parks, $600,000.
Thank you, Derek and Michael, very much for being here, and thank you for your contribution. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Do you want to do this one?
Yeah, we'll do it real quick.
Okay.
So I'll have Jen come up and talk about
We need to receive and file.
I'm sorry.
We need to receive and file. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll have Jen come up and do kind of a condensed, quicker version than normal of our summer recreation program overview. I provided this same update to the city council at a workshop about 2 meetings ago, but there's some really good information here that I wanted all you to have too.
Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board. Luckily, I talk very fast, so I'll just whip through this. Okay.
There's a little bit of delay.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So we have another busy summer coming up. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about our expanded online registration program. Last year, we just did swimming lessons. This year, we are renting shelters. Folks can purchase season swim passes, sign up for leagues and programs, and purchase community center memberships. And since we launched last year, we currently have over 11,000 online accounts. So our program has grown significantly. Aquatic season is kicking off as we speak. Last year we opened Teach Out for the weekend. We'll have Teach Out open again this weekend, and all of our pools will open on June 4th. You can currently register for swim lessons. We do have some openings yet for Baby Infant Me, preschool swim, learn to swim, and adult swimming lessons. It's $30 per person, and financial assistance is available through the Friends of Des Moines Parks. As you can see, we've got our swimming pass. I just drew a blank. season swim pass prices and daily admission prices on the screen. We do ask for those who want to do daily admission for season swim passes, you will still need to set up an account, so it'll just make things easier once you get to the pool. So, Yoga in the Park will be back again starting June 7th. We're very pleased to have the program sponsored and presented by Unity Point Health this year. Once again out at Grays Lake from 9 to 10. The program will go June 7th through September 27th. Once we're bringing back Zumba in the lake after a successful launch last year, and that'll be June, Saturdays in June. That will be 8:15 to 9. And both these programs are free and great for anybody with any experience or no experience. Free Flicks will start June 5th as well. That's next Thursday, and go every Thursday with a few exceptions through September 5th. The program's movies will be shown on our 25-foot screen to begin after sunset. No concessions will be provided, so just bring lawn chair and any snacks you want to have. All of the movies and the locations you can find on our website at www.dmparks.org. And once again, for our third annual Parks and Recreation Month event will be Saturday, June 12th on the Court Avenue Bridge from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. We've got some great partners that will be joining us this year. The Iowa Cubs, the Heritage Carousel, Unity Point Health, Blank Park Zoo, and the Des Moines Botanical Center. We'll have some really cool prizes again, pool passes, boat rentals, bike rentals, all that good stuff. Have some cool games, and again, we ask you to join us on the bridge. It'll be another fun event. Star Party will be back again on August 9th, 6 p.m. at the Ewing Lilac Park Arboretum. We've got some environmental education going on, some activities involving telescopes, meteor viewing, and we'll be showing Despicable Me. This is a new program we're offering this year. We were going to just do it through May, but now we've expanded it, and it'll continue through June from 11:30 to 12:15 p.m. at the HubSpot. Yoga during lunch along the Riverwalk. It's kind of a fun little deal. We've had this really good response. We had 30 people last week for a new program. It's been very successful. Just bring your yoga mat or towel and come down and get your namaste on. Unwind starts this week. We're going to alternate locations between the HubSpot and Grays Lake. The full schedule of bands and locations is on our website. Very similar format as last year. Music, food and beverage for purchase, and free samples from Jasper Winery. This is a new event we're doing this year with Shields. It's a paddle demo day. If you ever want to try out a stand-up paddle board or a kayak, come down and try it out. It's on Father's Day. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This will be down at the beach. Shields has been a great partner. They donated 2 free stand-up paddle boards with us, so they've been a great partner. We're looking to kind of expand on that. They're also going to have free food down there, and they have some free in-store signage. We're doing some promotional support as well, so come on down to Grays Lake on Father's Day. Get your dad out on a stand-up paddle board. This is another new program we're doing. It's meditation around town. These are the only 2 dates that are shown on the screen that are in our facility, but if you go to the website, Meditation Around Town, it's the full slate of events, including others that have been up at the High Trestle Trail and some other locations around the metro. Hard Charge, this is a partnership event at a county sports complex. It's very similar to the Mud Run, but this is more of an obstacle course. It's 4 miles long. They've got the Charge for Glory, which is televised, or the Charge for Fun. Personally, it doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun to me, but we encourage anybody to come out and try it. Registration's open at Hard Charge online, and it should be interesting, so give it a whirl. Now we're going into our new facilities and amenities. Some of you may remember this from our tour if you didn't participate, but the spray ground opened last spring and the shelter opened last fall. The shelter is available to reserve online, and the spray ground is open for use. It's a great facility and one of our most popular parks. This is the new sculpture that went in at Papa John last winter. It's the Panoramic Awareness Pavilion from Olafur Eliasson. It's really cool if you go to see it at night. It's quite a visual, so please go check it out. In addition to the trails that Mindy spoke of that are going in, this is out at Grandview. It's 1.5 miles of accessible nature trail. It's 5 miles wide of compacted dirt and 4 bridges, and we expect it to be completed this summer. And that's pretty much it. Any questions I can answer?
I'll ask Rebecca to email this to you so you don't have to take any notes about dates and times of those events, so you don't have to take any notes.
And also, for the most part, these will be in the city source that you should have received. If not, we can also email you the PDF for that. So, thank you.
May I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jen. And just a nice little follow-up, the bus tour, the staff did such a super job with the bus tour. It was very informative, and we got to see a lot of things. And good city council participation. I really appreciate all the work that the whole staff and our director put into it.
Thank you.
We have our slate of officers. Susan, would you like to present the slate of officers?
I gave it to you.
Okay, all right. The nominating committee did present a slate of officers for the upcoming year. Lloyd Clark, vice chair. The rest of the executive board, Paula Feltner, Dick Thornton, and George Davis. Do I have a motion to receive and file? Or are there any other nominations from the board? May I have a motion to receive and file?
I'll move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I have one little bit of sadness, but it's not, I mean, it's just that it was so short. This is Carolyn Rogers' last board meeting with us. She has some exciting new plans and is not going to be able to stay on the board with us, but we appreciate the time that you did spend with us and your dedication. And just, we didn't have much time since we just found out, but we do have a little certificate of appreciation for you.
Thank you.
I did want to make you aware of, and maybe you already know, that tomorrow night at Long Garden, right here at City Hall, is Rick Clark's sort of last evening with us. If any of you can come and attend, it's 4:30 to 6:30. I'm sure he'd appreciate you coming by and showing your appreciation.
If it rains, it's in here. If it's raining, so don't think it's just not over with because it's raining.
And with Carolyn leaving the board, she's also leaving the cemetery committee, and we'd already had one board member volunteer to be on the cemetery committee, and that was Susan Vanderhaar. And George had also volunteered, and now there's a second position open, so you can both join the cemetery committee.
Okay, that sounds great. I think we ought to give Carolyn some of that $50,000 from Hy-Vee.
I'll donate it back.
Carolyn, would you like to say, you were so wonderful on the phone when you told me.
Oh, okay. Well, what's happening is we bought an acreage with a log cabin on it from longtime family friends in Dallas County, just west of Dallas Center. So we're in the process of selling our large home near Union Park, and I've taken a job with the Dallas County newspapers out of Adel, which is less than 10 minutes from the cabin. We're working on the cabin, we're working on our house. So anyway, it's a happy reason for leaving, but still it's difficult. But anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being a great board member.
Oh, thank you.
Carolyn did say on the phone when she told me of her move that she was always amazed by what Des Moines did and the citizens in Des Moines contributed to the city and what the park department does for the city. So thank you for those words.
It's been an eye-opening experience and a wonderful one. I walk out of these meetings going, wow. A lot of amenities here and great people. So anyway.
Does anyone else have anything for the good of the order?
I guess I'll real briefly give people an update on the Jackson Street Bridge. As you know, there was a potential proposal that could lead to its demolition if funds weren't going to be raised to restore that bridge, and it's been closed for some time now. Paul Feltner's kind of been, from day one, a pretty adamant supporter of that bridge, and I think was the one that said that she thought the community support was there and that this was something worth preserving, and she kind of has headed up an informal ad hoc group to see if we couldn't secure some public funding for this, and she was successful in getting some language in a bill that potentially could provide up to $500,000 to restore the Jackson Street Bridge. The actual appropriation is for $1 million for 2 bridges in Iowa that are both serve as a bridge and have historical significance, and also our pedestrian bridge, if I'm correct. And that bill is part of a larger appropriations bill that contains a lot of different language in it. The governor does have the ability to line item veto things in there. We're real hopeful that we'll have his signature on that Senate file. And Paula, can you help me out? The number?
No.
Uh-oh. Look it up. I'll look it up here in a minute, it's Senate file. Thank you. Senate file 2349. 2349. So if folks have not communicated to the governor's office, or feel free to do so as a member of the public. It's Senate file 2349, section 1, number 9, paragraph A. But again, we're probably working with city staff. I believe the city would have to be an applicant for that funding, but that could be potential $500,000 toward that bridge. And I just wanted to personally thank Paula. She's been in the center of this whole thing from day one, and I don't think that appropriation wouldn't have happened without her efforts. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank her. We'll have a lot of other people thank before this is over, but Paula, certainly appreciate your efforts on this.
Well, thank you.
And I did send a note on from the park board to the governor on our behalf. Thank you. Anything else? May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you for a great meeting.
That's 7 o'clock.